and welcome to Knee to Knee, a podcast where we explore how real human connections shape every part of our health and our lives. Today, we have a very special episode that I've spent a bit of time pulling together. I recently had a listener of our podcast mention that building meaningful connections is often spoke about in our podcast, but there's not really much on how does someone who is an introvert do that. That listener asked for a how-to, so this episode is just that. Now, please understand that I am not the guy with all the answers, nor do I play that guy on TV. I do know, however, some really great people from some of our past episodes that we can pull from. That journey from building connections should begin with understanding what introversion actually is. Psychologist Carl Jung, who originally coined the terms introversion and extroversion in the 1920s, distinguished between these orientations as different ways people direct psychic energy, introverts turning inward and extroverts focusing outward. Modern psychology has evolved to recognize that introversion is not the same as shyness, and that introverts are fully capable of forming deep, meaningful connections despite preferring lower stimulus environments. Research reveals a critical misconception. Introverts need social connection as much as extroverts and may actually struggle more significantly when disconnected. A study published in On Health Psychology Open found that when introverts are cut off from their social networks, they experience worse outcomes than extroverts in the exact same situation. Having even 1 to 2 close friends correlates with greater happiness for introverts compared to having those with no close friends. So if you identify as an introvert or simply feel like the wallflower more often than not, your need for real supportive relationships is not smaller or less than an extrovert. It may actually be an even greater need. This episode is for you if a couple of things happen here. First of all, if you want deeper friendships, but you are often, or at least feel like, you end up on the edge of the room. The next thing is if you get drained by big group events and wonder if that means you're bad at people. Or if you'd love to feel more known without pretending to be an extrovert. Today is not on networking events or business cards. It's on something much more personal. How to build and deepen connections in everyday life when you often feel like the wallflower, the person at the edge of the room, on the couch at the party, or scrolling on your phone while everyone else seems to know what to say. We'll weave together some practical small step ideas from a couple of previous episodes. From the episode with Logan Wilkes about how to move from the wall to meaningful connections, adapted out of the business world context into normal life. We'll also cover insights from psychologist Dr. Bobbi Wegner on psychological safety, belonging, and why feeling safe to be yourself is the foundation for any deep relationship. And lastly, a simple experiment that you can try over the next few weeks to gently expand your circle without pretending to be someone you're not. You will find a ton of resources that I use to pull this episode together in the show notes. So, why personal connection feels harder than it looks? That's often the way introverts have felt and expressed to me as I've talked with them. Most people don't struggle with wanting connection. They struggle with how to do it without feeling awkward, needy, or fake. In one conversation, Logan talks about wallflowers at events, the people who show up but stay in their seats, hoping others will make the first move. That pattern shows up in personal life too. At neighborhood barbecues, you gravitate towards the food table instead of people. At a family gathering, you stay in the kitchen helping rather than joining in the conversation. Or at church or community group, you come right on time, leave right after, so you don't have to navigate any of the small talk. Underneath that is usually some mix of anxiety and self-protection. In our episode with Dr. Bobbi, she reminds us that our brains treat social threat rejection, criticism, and embarrassment, like physical danger. If your body has learned that opening up can lead to being ignored, judged, or abandoned, it makes sense that it would keep you quiet and on the edge. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means that your nervous system is actually doing its job well in protecting you. The work now is to slowly teach it that there are places and people where it's safe to be known. But before getting into any of the how-tos, there are two inner questions that really matter, especially if you're introverted. This came from a conversation I had recently with Doug Nielsen. He's a licensed psychotherapist in Utah after we finished recording an upcoming episode, and his advice fits perfectly here. The first question he suggests that we ask is, why do I want this? On the outside, deciding to make more connections seems straightforward. I should get out more. I should meet more people. But Doug points out that when a person gets truly clear on their why they want more connection in this season of their life, that clarity becomes a kind of compass. Maybe your why is, I'm tired of feeling alone in my house. Or I want at least one friend I can be honest with. Or even I don't want my whole emotional world to depend on just one person. Whatever it is, naming it gives meaning to the effort. The second question is, am I willing to feel discomfort on purpose? Doug talks about sitting with unwanted emotions and recognizing that what discomfort is. At its core, it's an emotion moving through your body. The tight chest, the flushed face, the awkward silence, those are things that are those feelings, not emergencies. Am I willing to feel that and support myself through it in service of my goal? Am I willing to let that tension rise and fall in my body without immediately escaping? So those are the two commitments and questions that we have to ask ourselves is, why do we want this? And am I willing to have the courage to feel the discomfort in order to move forward toward that why? Once those are in place, even quietly just between you and yourself, the practical steps we're about to talk through start to make a lot more sense. They're no longer random social challenges. They're in service of something that matters to you. So how do we step from the small steps for everyday wallflowers or those that find themselves on the edge? In the episode we have with Logan, we want to adapt what he covered in professional networking advice and adapt it over to normal personal life. So the first thing that we want to talk about is start where you already feel yourself. Logan's first principle was to go where you're already passionate and comfortable. If you like to run, join a running group. If you like to golf, join a golf group. In personal life, that might look like, a board game night instead of a loud bar, a hiking group instead of a big, unstructured party, a book club, a choir, or a crafting group instead of generic mixers. You're not trying to be interesting from scratch. You're letting the activity give you something to share. When you talk about what you generally care about, you connect more easily and your nervous system stays calmer. So we want to borrow, the next thing would be to borrow an inside person. Logan recommends going where you have an advocate in the room, someone who can say, hey, you need to meet my friend. In a personal setting, that might mean going to a gathering with one friend you already trust and asking them in advance, if you see someone you think I'd click with, would you introduce us? Joining a small group through someone you already know from church, school, or neighborhood instead of walking alone. That person becomes your secure base, a relationship anchor that makes you feel safer to explore new relationships. Number 3 is set tiny goals and be done. When Logan moved to a new city where he knew no one, he would show up at events he really didn't want to go to, and he would give himself a small, clear goal. He would go, I'm going to talk to 2 people who fit this general type. Once I do that, I can go home. And then he'd grab some fish tacos on the way. And you can do the same kind of thing in your personal settings. At a church activity, your goal is one real conversation that you don't know well. At a neighborhood picnic, your goal is to learn one thing about 3 people's lives beyond. So what do? After you hit that goal, you are allowed to leave. No guilt. This matters because your body learns through repetition. Small, successful contact over and over teaches your nervous system that, hey, I can handle this. Nothing terrible is going to happen. The next thing is we want to talk about psychological safety at home and friendship. What does that mean and how does that impact us? Logan's ideas can help us find more conversations. Dr. Bobbi helps explain why some conversations feel nourishing and others might leave you even feel more lonely. Psychological safety in personal relationships looks like this. This is what Dr. Bobbi teaches us. You can share something a little vulnerable without being mocked or dismayed. You can say no or set a boundary and the relationship still holds. And you can admit a struggle and the other person actually leans in instead of shutting down. That's what psychological safety looks like in our personal lives. Dr. Bobbi describes in groups that have high safety and belonging, people become more open, direct, and are willing to take emotional risks. That's just as true around the kitchen table as it is in a meeting room. Practically, you can nudge your friendships and family interactions towards more safety by doing a couple of things. First, asking grounding questions instead of just superficial surface ones. Couple questions. What is a highlight and low light of your week? Another one would be, what's something that's been on your mind lately? The next would be responding to others' small risks with curiosity and care instead of advice or jokes. That's something I struggle with because I'm sarcastic and sometimes I jump into that joke mode too quickly. The next thing is checking in with your own body. If you feel yourself shutting down, it might be a sign this particular place is not safe yet. That's information, not failure. Over time, the goal is to have at least a few relationships where you can bring your whole self, the excited parts, the tired parts, and the scared parts. So let's talk about a more known, less alone experiment. So here's a gentle, personal life version of a 4-week experiment. So in week 1, you're going to choose one circle. Pick one setting you're already part of in your life, whether it's a class, a faith community group, a hobby meetup, a neighborhood regular game night, whatever it is. Your job is to show up and stay for the full time. No pressure to be on. Just notice who feels easy to be around. In week 2, the next time you go into that circle, set a tiny goal. Have 2 real conversations. Use one simple question that invites real talk. The first one is, what's been the best part or the hardest part of your month this far? Or, and this one I love, what do you wish people asked about you more? You're not prying. You're offering a doorway. So also answer the same question yourself, which builds that mutuality and trust together. In week 3, name one thing about yourself. This week, practice sharing one small thing, a true thing about yourself that you normally keep inside. Here's just a couple of examples. I always feel awkward at these things. I'm glad I came. Another one would be, I've been trying to make more local friends, honestly. And the last is, this hobby has been a big mental health helper for me. Those are all small things that we can share that actually help others to see who we are. They're giving others more of the real you to connect with. That's how safety and depth grow. Week 4 is you're going to follow up with one person. Identify one person you'd like to get to know better. Send a short message And that could be a text, an email, a social media direct message, something along the lines of, I enjoyed talking with you the other night. You want to grab a coffee or a soda or go for a walk sometime? Something simple like that. Or if it's family, I've been realizing I miss hearing more about your life. Could we do a call or just sit down one evening this week and catch up? This is where the wallflower steps off the wall. Not with a grand gesture, but with one simple follow-up. So in closing, I want to remind us that no one ever did it alone. That's what Logan was covering in his episode. People bring you peace of mind. People bring you opportunities. People are the key. Dr. Bobbi's work adds that it's the right kind of people, those with whom you feel safe enough to be honest, that change your health and your life. And research on introversion closes the loop. Even if you refuel alone, your well-being still depends on having at least a small circle of people with whom you can be fully yourself. Before you try any of the practical steps in this episode, let's just remember and recover Doug's 2 questions that they're worth covering again. The first one, remember, why do you want to do this? Why do I want to do this? Not the, I should be more social, but your real why. I don't want to feel this alone, or I want 1 or 2 people who really know me. When that is clear, reaching out has a purpose, not just pressure. The second is, am I willing to feel discomfort for that why? The awkwardness and the tight chest are emotions moving through your body, not proof that you're doing it wrong. The key isn't avoiding them, but being willing to feel them and still take one small step towards connection. If you can answer these 2 questions with even a tentative yes, you're already moving forward from wallflower to known. So here's one simple practice just for this week. Pick one person in your existing life, a neighbor, a sibling, a fellow parent, a church member, or an acquaintance. Reach out with a short, genuine note. Hey, I realized I really enjoy talking with you and I'd love to get to know you better. Do you want to grab a coffee or a soda or a walk or something this week or next week? It might feel small, but that's how every deep personal connection starts. One person notices and then makes a move. Thanks again for spending time with us today on Knee to Knee. I truly hope that you find this information helpful and would love to hear about your successes using this 4-week challenge. Thank you again. I sure appreciate all of you and your willingness to come and join us. And yes, please let me know how this episode has touched you, affected you, and your successes. Would love to hear about them. Thanks again, and we'll catch you on the next go around.